Hello everyone, welcome back to Simulated Heaven, and here we are in Assetto Corsa, and I'm using my Pico 3 Neo Link. So yeah, I'm going to do some laps, some probably very slow laps, in VR in Assetto Corsa, and I will talk about my recent interest in VR sim racing and why I'm in Assetto Corsa. Yeah. So basically, this whole thing started about half a week ago, where I had decided I was going to try Automobilista 2 in VR. And, you know, I spent a little bit of time tweaking it up, and I was quite happy with the result. I then moved on to Le Mans Ultimate and did the exact same thing in Le Mans Ultimate, and then it kind of got me thinking, what is the best VR sim racing game out there? So I asked the question online, and I have to say I was quite shocked to find out that a lot of people were saying that Assetto Corsa is like the apex of sim racing in VR, I mean. And I thought, wow, that's crazy because it's such an old game. But I think the thing I'd forgotten about is the fact that Assetto Corsa has got the content manager, which is essentially like a glorified mod manager. But what that means is you have lots of options for you to tweak the game immensely, much more than on other games. So yeah, basically I used the guide online, and I will link the guide in the description in case any of you guys also want to do the same thing. And I spent about an hour or so tweaking everything, and then I got into VR in Assetto Corsa, and I was like, wow, like totally blown away. The clarity, after you have everything set up and tweaked well, the clarity is like amazing. So this is far clearer than the other games I have tried, the other sim racing games I've tried in VR. The performance is really good. The only slight thing that I need to work on now with this game, with VR, is the AI, because obviously this game is quite old, so the AI is not the best. I mean, they're okay, but you find they kind of glitch around a little bit. They don't drive in a smooth way, especially if it's on like a modded track. Thankfully, you can actually download online AI pathing for different tracks, which will help them drive a lot better. So then my idea is to download that for a select number of tracks that I really like, and then basically use that and do some offline sim racing in VR. And you know, the thing that you have to kind of remember is that I'm only using a Pico 3 Neo Link. This is not an expensive headset. You can often find it online for under 200 US. And the end result is pretty amazing. So it definitely means that sim racing in VR is more accessible than it's ever been. And I mean, even though the resolution of this headset is more like on par with the Quest 2, this is one of the very few headsets that will plug directly into your graphics card using a DisplayPort. Therefore, that means that the quality of the image that you get in VR is amazing. Yes, it might not quite have the resolution of some of, you know, the higher tier headsets, But honestly, for me, like driving around now, I don't really feel that. I feel it's pretty amazing. Yeah, and I was absolutely amazed that Assetto Corsa, such an old game, is like something that a lot of people think is the best VR sim racing experience, and from my limited experience, I would agree. And it, you know, it's like hats off to the modding community, right? Whoa! Oh yeah, and that's another thing that I find in VR. I find it so much easier for me to catch a slide when the car slides. For whatever reason, I find it a lot easier for me to catch a slide. And in general, the fact that I can look into apexes in like a natural way, the whole thing, I find it way better than if I'm driving on a flat screen, right? Of course, I am still a pretty slow sim racer. I have to practice a lot if I'm going to get even vaguely faster at a track. But I think that's the other thing, right? It goes to highlight that, you know, the enjoyment is not always about being the fastest car on the track, right? The feeling of actually physically being in a car, you know, being present in a race car that I would never be able to drive in real life, to actually feel like you're sat in the car, to see the dashboard, to feel all the cars around you in the traffic. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if you have a sim racing setup, if you've got a VR headset of any kind, I would highly recommend that you give this Assetto Corsa a try. Like I said, I will leave a link in the description of the guide that I used, the online guide that I used. And I mean, the benefit of it being an old game as well is that even if you don't own the game, it should be fairly easy for you to find the game in a heavy sale. I'm sure that this game is going to be going on sale fairly often, what with it being such an old game. And the thing that's hilarious is the most recent version of Assetto Corsa Evo, the VR in that is really bad. So it's like the original first game with all of the mods is way better in VR than Evo, which is crazy, really, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you have any specific questions, you can let me know in the comment section below.